Welcome back to the Alien Spaceship Talk Show podcast. And in case you're just joining us, you're listening to the Alien Spaceship Talk Show podcast with Emmy, Hikins, and Trevor.
Guitarist on both defence and prosecution will interview and decide and give the court a view about their culpability, about their accountability for what they've done. And of course, if somebody really is mentally ill, such that they don't really know what they're doing, well, the law will make an appropriate decision. I can remember a case. Again, it's when one of the Beatles, George Harrison, was attacked in his home in about the year 2000.
Yeah.
And he was nearly killed. It really wasn't said so much at the time. Fortunately, his wife managed to hit the intruder who broke into their home with a big heavy lamp, which kind of stunned him and knocked him out. Anyway, this guy was, he nearly killed George Harrison. He stabbed him and all sorts of things. It was only George's wife that saved him. As it happened, he died a year or so later, mainly from lung cancer, but they think his situation was worsened possibly by what had happened to him. Anyway, the guy concerned was ruled mentally ill, so he was placed into a mental facility for an indefinite period. And sometimes when you see an indefinite sentence, so to speak, you think, oh, well, that's going to be a few years. Well, this guy was in this mental hospital or whatever it was just for a few months, and then he was out because they say he was cured. I don't know whether it's one of those cases where perhaps he hadn't taken medication, but anyway, the point being that the law does allow for people who do genuinely have an illness. But I would have thought the majority of crime, theft, all that goes with that is done by perfectly sane people. That's what is generally accepted to be the case. But, the things can trigger. You can get crimes of passion and things like that. But, I think ultimately, if somebody steals my phone from me, I'm not going to say, oh, well, you keep it. You're obviously in a mental condition. I'd say, no, give me my phone back. So you have perhaps a kinder approach to such events as I would.
Well, I don't think my leniency extends to theft, really. If somebody's stealing somebody's mobile phone, they're in the right mind because they've planned it. That's what what they've gone out to do. I'm talking about ones that there's no need for the crime being committed. There's no link.
Yeah, but how do you know that though? How do you know that there's no need?
All right, so I don't mean to go into gory details, but there was this incident that is still in court recently, and I think it happened last year, where this guy with a samurai sword went on a rampage. He went on a killing rampage, didn't he? And he actually, luckily, he didn't kill that many people, but he did kill a 14-year-old boy. Now, how would you explain that? Would you say, that's why he's in the right state of mind? What would you say to that?
Well, again, I think only a professional person, a doctor, a psychiatrist, will be able to make that assessment. But what I would say is, sad to say, without getting morbid, I think, sadly, there is something called evil, which seems to be in some people. Yeah. Probably a very small minority are what we would say are evil people, but I think it does exist. In other words, just being bad is a life choice, perhaps. Yeah. But obviously, if medics say, no, this person doesn't know what he's doing or she's doing, fine. But I think the majority probably do. But actually, it leads me on to something else we were going to talk about. Okay. Having diversified. And that is, we were going to talk about the death penalty. Now, not in any political way. The thing about the death penalty or capital punishment is that, for Well, I'm trying to think when it was outlawed. I think I read fairly recently when I was looking at this that the Parliament passed the Act which abolished the death penalty in about 1965, and so it's not been a feature of our law since then. And if you think about it, I say we're non-political on this because when the Houses of Parliament, when the House of Commons has ever voted on this, and it does once every few years, they invariably have a big majority that say, no, we don't want to go back to capital punishment. So talking about it, in my view, is not political. But it's still an interesting subject because we do hear of some awful crimes. I mean, there was a terrible business in Austria yesterday, wasn't there, where an ex-schoolboy, an ex-student went back there. They say...
We're going to take a short break now. We're back shortly. You've been listening to the Alien Spaceship Talk Show with Trevor and Emmy Hikins. The Alien Spaceship Talk Show podcast is looking for sponsors. If you're a company out there looking to spread the word about the products and services you provide, please get in touch with Deepstuff Radio Podcast on info@deepstuffrecords.com, or to use the contact form on our website to contact us, please visit radio.deepstuffrecords.com. Also, if you're looking to get involved on the Alien Spaceship Talk Show podcast, reach out via our Deepstuff Radio Facebook page. Thank you.